Hey everybody, Saba here again doing another Return to Ravnica Swiss draft. I want to thank everybody who has been giving me feedback on my videos. It has been very helpful in helping me get better at drafting. With that, let's begin. Alright, here we are with our first pack, and we get an Epic Experiment, which isn't too useful in a draft. We get a V2 Guild Mage, which is usually really good. Got a Soulsworn Spirit, Sluiceway Scorpion. That's about it. I think I'm gonna take the V2 Guild Mage because that one's just really great. So we'll start with that. And next pick we get Hellhole Flailer is really good for Rakdos. Street Spasm is a really good board wipe for non-flyers at least. Gorehouse Chainwalker is a really good aggressive early drop. Another Sluiceway Scorpion. Giant Growth. I think it's best to stay open, so I think it's either the Gorehouse Chainwalker or the Street Spasm or the Hellhole Flailer at this point. The person to our left took a rare, so we can't really glean much from that. Hellhole Flailer is really great for the aggressive Rakdos deck, but Street Spasm's really good removal. I'm gonna take the Street Spasm. I think that's a better pick at this point. We get a Guild Feud, which isn't really good for a rare. Not a whole lot else that goes with our other picks. There's a Trestle Troll, Guildgate, not sure. Vassal Soul's a really good flyer. Best card's probably the Vassal Soul, I would guess. Not a whole lot. Yeah, let's take the Vassal Soul. Here we get an Azorius Arrestor, Skywatch, Giant Growth, and Explosive Impact. Yeah, I'll take the Impact here. It's a really good removal and burn to the face. Here we get a Splatter Thug, a Dead Reveler, Launch Party. Looks like nobody's drafting Rakdos at the moment. Splatter Thug's just really difficult to block in most cases, so I'm going to take that. Rakdos Ringleader tends to be too expensive for what it actually does. There's a Judge Beetle, a Rakdos Guildgate, not a whole lot. I'm gonna take the Guildgate. I think we're probably getting a lot of Rakdos signals here, so again, not a whole great pick. Tenement Crusher's kind of expensive, but it's pretty aggressive. Terrace Worm is really expensive. Perilous Shadow's pretty good at blocking and can be a mana sink later. There's another Vassal Soul. Doesn't really go with what all the other stuff we have. Let's take the Crusher. I think we're going to be aggressive. So here we get a Void Wilder, a Cancel, not a whole lot else. Void Wilder is really strong. Yeah, I think I'll take the Void Wilder here. Savage Surge came back. There's an Aerial Portation for the board, Sundering Growth. Not a whole lot else. Go Is It. That didn't beat too bad. If that's what we're doing, none of this really helps. Let's take the Hack the Trick. Here we get a bunch of nothing. The closest thing we have now is pretty much Is It. And Kimster's Trick can be useful in that type of deck. Everything else is pretty unexciting, so let's take the Kimster's Trick. Here, I guess the Courier goes best with what we're doing so far. He's a alright early drop. Next pick, we're left with the dregs. I guess take the Chronic Floating. I'm not gonna play it. Attack a Slug. That one's a decent blocker later, and probably the worst card in the set. And an island. All right. So far it looks pretty much is it. Let's move the mtgo Guildmage and the Savage Surge to the board. Here we get a Detention Sphere, which is really great removal, and could be splashable if we go is it. There's a Tavern Swindler, Assassin Strike, Gate Creeper Vine. Rakdos Shred Freak isn't too exciting. Another Void Wielder. I think I gotta take the Detention Sphere. It's splashable in what we're going with right now, and it's just a really strong removal spell, so let's take that. We get a mtgo New Prov Guildmage, which is a decent Guildmage. Might be more Azorius, I'm not sure. There's a Pegasus, there's a Skywatch, Golgari Longlegs, a Common Bond, which is really strong. I think the Guildmage is just really strong here, and it's probably going to be the best pick for us. Nothing else is much stronger than the Guildmage, so let's go ahead and take that. Here we get a Is It Charm, which is one of the better charms, I think. There's a Keening Apparition, Spirit Skywatch again, another Hussar Patrol. Is It Guildgate? I think we'll just take the Is It Charm. It's a really good card and it's in our colors. So here there's a really late Call of the Conclave. We don't have a whole lot of Celestia going on right now, so can't take that. There's a Doorkeeper for clogging up the floor, which might be the pick. Another Rakdos Guildgate, but probably aren't going to play the first one. Let's take the Doorkeeper. He's really good at blocking centaurs all day long. Here we get another Tenement Crasher, Goblin Electromancer, which is really good. Not a whole lot else for us. I think the pick's the Electromancer. We don't have a whole lot of instants and sorceries at the moment, but I'm sure we'll pick up some more. There's another Void Wielder, a Batterhorn, Transguild Promenade. I think the pick here is the Void Wielder. He's a really good tempo play and he blocks a lot of stuff. Looks like we're defensive is it at the moment, which isn't really great. Dispel's pretty good here. Risen Sanctuary's big guy, but really expensive. Rootborn Defenses is good for the Populate deck. So is the Courser's Accord. Wonder if we're in the wrong colors here. There is a lot of Celestia in this pack, but I think I'll stick with the Is It we got and take the Dispel. And we get a Azorius Keyrune, which is one of the better ones since it flies. A Hussar Patrol. I think the Keyrune helps us with our Detention Sphere and New Prov Guildmage Splash, so let's go ahead and take that. There's Aqua Steed, which isn't too great. An Avenging Arrow. We don't have a whole lot of removal. Well, yeah, we do have quite a bit of removal at the moment. Let's take the Sentry. We're kind of creature light at the moment. Could use some more creatures. Soul Tithe isn't exciting. Concordia Pegasus is alright. Armory Guard is a good blocker. Let's see. Don't really have a win condition at the moment, just kind of aggressive. Let's take the Pegasus. It's in our splash and might help. Let's take the Hussar Patrol here. and another Hussar Patrol. We might just be Azorius Splash is it at the moment. Let's take the Slug, throw him in the sideboard, and the Rat, and a plane. Alright. A little scattered. I think we're mostly Azorius at the moment, with some Izzet stuff as backup, which isn't too bad. Gonna want to get some fixing. It's going to be really important in this pack. We have some decent creature count, some good tricks. Chaos Imps is really good win condition, and we do need one of those. There's another Izzet Charm, another Azorius Keyrune, Tower Drake, Hussar Patrol. I think the Imps here is going to be what we want for a win condition. We don't really have one yet, and I'd like to get one. Oh, wow. Love Sky Knight is great. I think that will be our pick. Definitely going to need some color fixing now. Dramatic Rescue is really good, but I don't think it's as strong as the Sky Knight is. Sunspire Griffin's a really good flyer, but the double white is going to be difficult for us. Rune Wing's alright, maybe we'll wheel that. But yeah, I think the pick here is the Sky Knight, no doubt. Syncopate's pretty good. You have a Vassal Souls, another Void Wielder, but I think 2's good for those. No color fixing, which is disappointing. I think the pick is between Syncopate and Vassal Souls, or Vassal Soul. I think the Syncopate is really strong. I think we do want one of those, so I'm going to take that here. Wow. Archon of the Trivirate, or however you pronounce that. That's a really good finisher. It's kind of expensive and is in what is supposed to be our splash color, but I don't think anything else is much stronger than that here. Eyes in the Skies is pretty good. Tower Drake is decent, but I think I gotta take the Archon here. And we get an Inspiration, which is great, a Void Wielder, an Action Injunction for some tempo. I think I want the Inspiration. We're playing 3 colors at the moment. Being able to draw our lands is going to help us out a lot there. Here we get an Azorius Charm, which is a decent tempo removal spell. Paralyzing Grasp isn't too exciting, and Electrickery, which would be nice, but we might get one of those later. I think the Azorius Charm is just really strong here. I think that's the pick. Here we get, there's a Cellar of Songbirds, an Avenging Arrow, a Bellows Lizard, and a Batterhorn. I think that's probably not for our deck. Splatter Tug's alright. Let's see here. I think the Batterhorn will serve our purposes a bit better. Ooh, Nivix Guild Mage is pretty sweet. Dino Charge is good in an aggressive deck, but I don't think we're too aggressive at the moment. I think we're gonna be a little more controlling, holding off until we can get one of these bombs online. Yeah, let's take the Guild Mage. I think he'll help us filter through our shaft and get to our big stuff. Another Keyrune is nice, help us get to the Archon a lot sooner, so let's go ahead and take that. The Dramatic Rescue Wield, which is surprising, but we'll take that for sure. Void Wielder came back, so let's take that. We do got quite a few multicolored spells, so let's take the Pyro Convergence. Maybe we'll make that work, but unlikely. Psychic Spiral, sure. Chorus of Might, alright. And a Swamp. I think we got a pretty good deck. We have some controlling elements. I think we should be able to build to our higher end stuff and take over from there. Let's see what happens when we get to deck building. Alright, here we are for deck building, and let's see, let's separate our creatures for the moment. So we don't want the Chorus of Might, that isn't in our colors. Let's see here, Psychic Spiral isn't going to make the cut. We're not doing much milling, and we can sight it in if somebody's trying to mill us out, trick them at the end. Courier's probably not going to make the cut. We're not trying to be too aggressive, and the mill plan isn't too great. Doorkeeper's probably good for holding down the defenses. We have 18 creatures. Probably don't need 3 Void Wielders. The Batterhorn's probably not necessary. We can sight that in if there's some pesky key runes that we need to take care of. Pegasus, he's really good at defending. He'll block 2 power guys all day, and the flying isn't irrelevant. Sentry's not too exciting here. Let's see how much work the Electromancer is doing. Makes that cheaper. Syncopate cheaper. The inspiration on turn 3 is really strong, and the impact on turn 5 is always great. Let's count our multicolor stuff. We do have a lot. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Power Convergence might work out here. Didn't get a whole lot of fixing guild gates, but the 2 key runs are definitely necessary here. We need to make about 5 cuts to spell. We can side that in if they have a lot of tricks. These are really good for us there. So is the Detention Sphere. I think Syncopate's going to be really good for us also. Yeah, let's get rid of the Sentry. That's more for an aggressive Celestia build, which we're definitely not there. We want to defend until we can get there, which we have a lot of good defenders. Lots of people with 4 toughness, which is really great for us. Crasher is pretty aggressive. I don't really have a way to get it through, so we might not want that. 14 creatures is probably the lowest we want. We might bring something back. Let's cut 2 of these. We definitely need the key runes. We definitely want the Street Spasm. I think Syncopate, Pyroconvergence, and Dramatic Rescue are our options for cuts. Azorius Charm is a bit better than Dramatic Rescue because it's more versatile and it actually gets rid of their next draw step. Even though the 2 life isn't irrelevant. Detention Sphere is just really strong, especially against a bunch of tokens. Street Spasm helps clear the board so we can live till we get to our higher drops. And Explosive Impact will help us finish out the game. Yeah, let's cut the Dramatic Rescue. I think with where our deck is, it's really slow and grindy, so Pyroconvergence probably is too expensive. A lot of our gold cards are really cheap and will probably be spent by the time we get to the Pyroconvergence. Yeah, I think this looks good. Let's sort by color, see where we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 white cards. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16 blue cards. So we definitely want mostly blue. And then we have 4, 5, 6, 7 red. So let's see what they suggest here. 8, 4, 5 isn't unreasonable. That'll give us 1, 2, 6 white sources and 10 blue sources, 5 red sources. I think we want another red source, and we can cut a blue since the guild gate or the key runes will help us out there a lot more. I think we do want another plains also, but that'll give us too many. Let's cut a mountain. I think that should be fine for us. The red isn't as important as the white. Yeah, I think this should be pretty good for our main deck, so I'll go ahead and submit that, and I will see you guys in round 1.